I'm Phil.
And I'm Angelina.
With our husky lightning and a lot of wildlife around us, we live in this fairy tale chateau in France.
We love bringing this neglected castle back to life inside.
And we've got the vast grounds and parkland to take care of as well.
We love the moat, but it brings some challenges with it.
But it's all worth it when we get to share it with everyone at our live music events.
Follow the ups and downs of our chateau life. So today is another beautiful day, sunny today, and that's another opportunity to make progress by the chapel over there. Here is our chapel with the trees, and we're hopefully gonna have transformation of this area today. The tree pollarding continues.
Starting to look a lot clearer, but need to try to get all those leaves up while it's still dry. Well, it is about the only type of hoovering men actually enjoy, just driving around on things. It's not perfect, but what it hasn't picked up, it's mulched, which is good for the grass, and what it has picked up is no longer rotting and killing the grass. So, that's not a bad little thing to do, and it's a quick. Get in there. Are you fed up of these trees yet?
No.
I think this is like the third or fourth trailer this high full of this stuff. Let's get some more leaves in there and get to the recycling centre.
Some of you have asked what tree pollarding is exactly. Well, the full completion won't be seen in this season. It will be in spring when the trees revive back again and will be looking lovely and plump and bushy. But what it essentially is, these trees that you see in front of you, in comparison to the trees behind you see, are completely different, and they are maintained from a very young age. So when these trees were planted, very young saplings, and they grew to say 2 meters tall as you see here, they started to be trimmed down. And that's something that is basically training. So then they start to bush out only at the crown, whereas the rest of the trees continue to grow normally and, have the normal life cycle. And as you know, the tree root system is as tall as the top of it. So when you trim those saplings constantly, annually, you restrict the root growth and also the age of the tree. So they always maintain to be this young and this small, and it's basically ornamental use is what it is. You see in landscaped places. And the reason these have to be trimmed, is because we have a wall here, just like I have here. The whole moat is surrounded by a wall. And sadly, over there, much of the wall is gone, and actually what you see is overgrowth, ivy, some bushes that were planted there for safety. There's literally actually no wall there whatsoever, and in fact that tree is leaning this way, and that is the tree that has pushed all the stones out with its roots. And actually on this corner as well, there's hardly any wall left as well, so that tree wants to go in as well. And that is the reason why you have to annually trim them down to 3 years maximum. And the last time we did these, I think, was 3 years ago. So it's our fault and time has run away with us, but it's getting done and it's going to be beautiful. And this is what the trees will look like by the end of today. Yes, they might look scraggly today or so, but they do let in a lot of light. Look at that. That is what we're trying to achieve, which will be healthier for the trees. I'll have literally less moss growing up on it. This is some of the moss that we removed, and look how much just grows on it because it's just so shady, which isn't good for the tree because the bark constantly remains moist otherwise. So that is what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to transform this whole area into something spectacular this year, and you are literally at the start of it. So what will happen to this tree afterwards? When spring comes, which is only in about 3 months' time, the tops of all of these trees will be lovely and bushy. It'll be like round balls of pom-poms, literally filled with leaves. And it will be all along there, providing enough shape, but also ornamental, beauty to this garden. So that is what's gonna happen. But at this point, they look, well, shall I say, neat and tidy. One of the questions was asked, will this kill a tree? Well, no, the cutting of any tree whatsoever is done in the winter. Most of the trees, shall I say, like that. So you have to know your trees. But basically, winter, all the sap goes down into the root system, and therefore there's hardly anything there to get diseased and stuff like that. So you cut this in the winter, just like cutting hair, and the trees are asleep and they are quite happy like that. But obviously you can't do what we're doing right now, literally chopping, call it the whole canopy, on any tree. It has to be those trees, and they are taught from a really, really young age to be like that. So they are accustomed to it. That is called training. Now, the trees you see behind me, these, and any in our videos, basically, you can't do that to them all of a sudden. You will just literally kill a tree or turn that into bushes, but more likely kill them. So we basically know what we're doing because we've been here a while, and we inspect every angle of our garden to find out how to maintain each bush or flower or anything like that we have going here, and constantly trying to improve it. So yeah, don't go ahead and start cutting your trees to make them ornamental, because they will just die. But these will be beautiful. So what will happen if you do not trim these trees? Well, this could potentially happen. The stems of the new growth will get really heavy and literally rip an arm off, and that's quite a possibility. So once you start this training, you have to continue, and well, it is actually really, really beautiful when it springs back to life. Well, at the end of day 2, we succeeded in almost trimming all those trees down. What you can see through the middle is all the trees trimmed in the middle. However, the external ones closest to the camera and to the edge of the moat over there on the right are still untrimmed, because those are the most difficult, because they're right on the edge. And the reason it's taking so long is, well, simply they have so many branches to cut down. So yeah, but it's progress nevertheless.
Okay, so there's a really important lesson to be learnt from a few things recently, and especially these trees out the front, and that is the right tool for the job. And it's a really good example in a place like this, where if you don't have the right tools, or are trying to scrimp by without buying them, and some of them are really expensive, then it just takes so much of your time to try to get something done. Let me show you why. Rick was out here for 2 afternoons, and obviously I was helping him get all the stuff away to the recycling centre afterwards, using loppers, little handsaw, and up a ladder. There's 2 afternoons, you know, it's a reasonable amount of time, and he's obviously still not finished. There's no bad thing to Rick. There's a few more to be done. But there's lots of trees like this here. Okay, he's done a great job. You can see what he's done there with loppers and stuff. And then they grow back into a beautiful little canopy in the spring. And these actually, it needs to be done. They are deliberately like this. It doesn't hurt the trees. But we could have done this a lot quicker. We have these same trees on the top there, just above the garage, up the steps towards the gardener's cottage, and then all the way along the back wall up by the gardener's cottage. And I can actually show you some of the damage I spoke about because they weren't looked after for many years. But I can also show you how we can do this job quicker if we get another tool. And we should have thought about this in the first place. Here you can see this wall is all pushed out and bowing out. And at the top, there's these lime trees. And they would have been fine and not done any damage had they actually been cut every 2 to 3 years in the years before our arrival. And it's the same story all the way along this massive wall, which is at the back of the garden, going up to the gardener's cottage, and that's up to a very horrible little cellar underneath the gardener's cottage. And we have a lot of these. I'll show you from up the top. Climb over the fallen tree, and then you can come up the back here and you get a better idea, see, all the way along. And obviously we need to get a lot of the ivy off them. So here they all are. See, here's now quite a good example. These were cut back, and then they get this small growth again off the top. So they always spring back as long as you cut them in the winter when all the sap is in the root system. So here is the dilemma. Using loppers and all the rest of it, and this is why we say we're going to the right tool for the job, means you're going to be quite high up on a ladder, and from here that's quite a big drop on these trees down to the bottom. So what we're gonna get now, rather than getting up there on the ladder and using the pruning shears and all the rest of it, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get a long reach chainsaw, something extendable or a decent reach, which won't be particularly cheap, but imagine how much quicker we can do that job. And the reason I'm explaining that is because of just how many times I think that we have found we don't have the right tools for the job, and it's taken so much longer to do, and we felt like an absolute failures, or it's taking too long. And I guess everybody out there does exactly the same thing. So I think that's the whole point of explaining it, that, you know, we don't always get it right, and we're all in the same boat. You know, we're all out there learning, and we've just wasted, you know, 2 afternoons doing something rather than getting the right tool.